Hidden inside your body is a powerful survival system that most people never activate, a system that decides whether fat stays locked around your organs or quietly disappears while your cells repair themselves from the inside out. And this process does not begin with hunger, extreme dieting, or long fasting hours. It begins with signals, tiny biological switches that modern science has only recently learned how to influence. Deep belly fat, the dangerous visceral fat linked to diabetes, heart disease, and low energy, behaves very differently from fat under the skin, and that difference is the key reason so many people struggle despite eating less or working harder. In this video, you're going to learn how autophagy works in a way that actually makes sense, why fasting became popular for it, and more importantly, how the body can enter similar repair and fat-burning states without skipping meals or starving. Research has revealed that certain daily actions quietly turn on cellular cleanup, while others shut it down completely, even if calories are low. Some of these triggers happen during exercise, some during sleep, and some through specific food signals that most people overlook. There is also a surprising reason why stress, poor sleep, and constant snacking block autophagy, even in people who think they are doing everything right. By the end of this video, you will understand why visceral fat is so stubborn, how autophagy helps break it down at the cellular level, and how small realistic changes can push your metabolism toward repair instead of storage. You will also discover why extreme methods often backfire, slowing results instead of accelerating them, and why consistency matters more than intensity. Stay until the end, because the final part connects everything together into a simple framework you can actually follow without turning your life upside down. And once you see how these pieces fit, you will never look at fat loss or health the same way again. Welcome to our channel, where we break down complex science into clear, practical knowledge you can use. And if you want more videos that expose hidden health mechanisms and help you level up your body from the inside, make sure to subscribe now so you never miss what's coming next. Autophagy is one of the most basic survival systems built into the human body, and it has been active since long before modern food, gyms, or diets existed. At its core, autophagy is the process where cells clean themselves from the inside. Old, damaged, or useless cell parts are broken down and reused for energy or repair. Instead of wasting resources, the body recycles what it already has. This keeps cells efficient, flexible, and healthy. When autophagy works properly, cells function better, tissues stay stronger, and organs handle stress more effectively. When it slows down, damaged components begin to pile up, and this buildup interferes with how cells communicate, store energy, and respond to insulin. Over time, this silent clutter inside cells contributes to fatigue, inflammation, and fat accumulation, especially deep inside the abdomen. Autophagy is not a trend or a hack. It is a natural maintenance system similar to cleaning a house before the mess becomes overwhelming. This process becomes active when cells sense stress, but not the kind of stress that harms the body. It is a controlled signal that resources are limited or energy demand is rising. When nutrients are always available and energy is never challenged, cells have no reason to clean up. They simply keep storing, growing, and expanding. Autophagy turns on when cells receive signals that say efficiency matters. These signals can come from lower nutrient availability, increased energy use, or metabolic shifts that tell the body to prioritize repair over storage. In this state, the body becomes more selective. Damaged mitochondria are removed, misfolded proteins are broken down, fat droplets inside cells are mobilized instead of locked away. This internal cleanup is one reason autophagy is linked to longevity and disease prevention, but it is also why it plays a powerful role in fat metabolism. People care about autophagy because it connects cell health directly to body fat, especially visceral fat. Visceral fat is not the fat you can easily pinch. It is stored deep around organs like the liver, pancreas, and intestines. This fat is metabolically active and releases inflammatory signals that disrupt hormones and insulin sensitivity. Unlike surface fat, visceral fat responds more to hormonal and cellular signals than to simple calorie math. Autophagy influences how fat cells behave and how fat is processed inside the body. When autophagy is active, fat cells become more responsive to breakdown signals. Stored fat is released more easily and used for energy. At the same time, the body becomes better at clearing damaged fat-related components inside cells, which improves overall metabolic function. Metabolism is not just about how fast calories are burned, it is about how efficiently cells use fuel and how well they adapt to changing conditions. Autophagy supports metabolic flexibility. This means the body can switch between fuel sources smoothly instead of constantly relying on sugar and storage. When autophagy is low, metabolism becomes rigid. The body prefers to store energy rather than release it. Fat loss becomes difficult, especially in stubborn areas linked to insulin resistance. By supporting autophagy, the body becomes more capable of shifting into fat-burning modes without extreme measures. This is why researchers studying obesity and metabolic health pay close attention to cellular recycling processes. For a long time, fasting has been presented as the main way to activate autophagy. This idea did not come out of nowhere. Extended periods without food do send strong signals to cells that resources are scarce. In response, autophagy increases. This is a survival mechanism that helped humans adapt during times of food shortage. However, the problem begins when fasting is presented as the only path. This creates the belief that without hunger, suffering, or long food deprivation, autophagy cannot happen. That belief is incomplete. Fasting is one trigger, but it is not the system itself. Autophagy responds to signals, not just empty stomachs. Cells do not measure time since the last meal the way humans do. They respond to nutrient levels, energy demand, and hormonal signals. This means autophagy can increase even when food is present as long as certain conditions are met. Research shows that specific lifestyle factors can reduce growth signals and increase energy sensing signals inside cells without full fasting. These shifts can gently push the body toward repair mode instead of storage mode. This is important because extreme fasting is not sustainable or safe for everyone. Stress hormones can rise too high, muscle loss can increase, metabolism can slow down if fasting is done incorrectly or for too long. Understanding that autophagy is flexible opens the door to safer and more realistic approaches. At the cellular level, autophagy is controlled by a balance between two major signaling systems. One of them promotes growth and storage. The other promotes repair and efficiency. The first system is driven by abundance. When nutrients are plentiful, this pathway tells cells to grow, build, and store. It supports muscle growth and tissue building, but when it stays active all the time, it blocks autophagy. Cells remain focused on expansion instead of cleanup. The second system is activated when energy demand increases or when fuel availability drops slightly. This pathway tells cells to conserve resources, improve efficiency, and recycle internal components. Autophagy rises when this system becomes dominant. Lowering growth signals does not mean eliminating food. It means reducing constant stimulation. Frequent eating, high sugar intake, and excessive refined carbohydrates keep growth pathways active all day. This leaves little room for autophagy. On the other hand, increasing energy sensing signals does not require starvation. Physical movement, muscle contraction, and periods of low insulin naturally activate this system. When muscles use energy, cells sense the demand and respond by improving efficiency. Autophagy becomes part of that response. This is why exercise is such a powerful trigger for cellular cleanup, even in people who eat regularly. Sleep also plays a critical role in this balance. During deep sleep, growth signals drop and repair processes increase. Autophagy becomes more active as the body shifts into maintenance mode. Poor sleep disrupts this cycle. Stress hormones stay high. Growth signals remain elevated. Repair processes are suppressed. Over time, this imbalance contributes to fat gain, especially visceral fat. The body stays stuck in a state of storage and inflammation rather than renewal. Another overlooked factor is how the body responds to constant comfort. When energy is always available and stress is always avoided, cells lose sensitivity to repair signals. Mild, controlled stress is what keeps systems adaptable. This includes temperature changes, physical effort, and metabolic challenges. These signals remind the body that efficiency matters. Autophagy responds to these cues by clearing out weak or damaged components, making cells stronger and more resilient. This is not about pushing the body to extremes. It is about restoring natural signals that modern lifestyles have muted. Fat metabolism is deeply connected to these cellular decisions. When autophagy is suppressed, fat cells grow larger and become dysfunctional. They store energy but release it poorly. They send inflammatory signals that interfere with insulin and appetite control. When autophagy is active, fat cells are more balanced. They store less excess energy and release it more readily. Visceral fat in particular becomes more responsive to breakdown signals. This is why improving autophagy often leads to changes in waist size, even when body weight does not shift dramatically at first. Internal fat begins to reduce before surface changes become obvious. Another reason autophagy matters is its role in mitochondrial health. Mitochondria are the energy factories inside cells. When they become damaged, energy production drops and fat burning becomes inefficient. Autophagy removes damaged mitochondria and replaces them with healthier ones. This improves how cells use fat for fuel. Without this process, even strong calorie restriction can fail to produce lasting results. The body simply becomes less efficient and more prone to storing energy. The idea that autophagy only activates during long fasting ignores how dynamic the human body is. Throughout evolution, humans did not live in constant famine or constant abundance. There were natural fluctuations in food availability, activity, and rest. Autophagy adapted to these patterns. It responds to signals, not rules. By understanding these signals, it becomes clear that lifestyle choices can nudge the body toward repair without extreme deprivation. This does not mean fasting is useless. It means fasting is one tool among many, not the foundation of the system. As modern research continues to explore autophagy, one pattern becomes clear. The most effective activation does not come from single actions, but from combined signals. Moderate energy use, controlled nutrient intake, proper sleep, and reduced constant stimulation work together. These factors lower excessive growth signals and raise energy awareness inside cells. Autophagy rises naturally as a result. The body begins to prioritize efficiency, fat metabolism improves. Visceral fat becomes less protected and more accessible for energy use. Understanding this changes how fat loss and health are approached. Instead of fighting the body with extreme restriction, the focus shifts to working with biological systems. The goal becomes restoring balance rather than forcing outcomes. Autophagy thrives in this balanced environment. Cells become cleaner, signals become clearer, metabolism becomes more responsive. This is why autophagy is not just about weight loss. It is about how the body decides what to keep, what to fix, and what to let go. As the next methods are explored, it becomes clear how specific daily habits quietly influence these cellular switches. Small changes can shift the internal environment toward repair without hunger or exhaustion. These methods do not rely on willpower alone. They rely on biology doing what it evolved to do when given the right signals. Triggering autophagy without fasting is not about forcing the body into extreme conditions. It is about using natural signals that the body already understands and responds to. One of the strongest and most reliable signals is physical movement. Exercise places healthy stress on cells, especially muscle cells, and this stress tells the body that energy is being used and efficiency matters. When muscles contract, they demand fuel, and this demand activates internal pathways that favor repair over storage. Both cardio and strength training play a role here. Cardio challenges endurance systems and increases energy turnover, while strength training creates micro damage in muscle fibers that must be repaired. This repair process relies heavily on cellular cleanup. High-intensity interval training pushes this signal even further by rapidly shifting energy demand, forcing cells to adapt quickly. Endurance-style activity keeps energy demand elevated over longer periods, encouraging cells to become more efficient. Over time, regular exercise increases autophagy activity, improves mitochondrial quality, and makes fat tissue more responsive to breakdown signals. This is one reason consistent movement is linked to reductions in visceral fat even when diet changes are modest. Calorie restriction works in a similar way but through nutrient signals rather than physical demand. The body does not need complete food deprivation to sense scarcity. A modest reduction in calories is often enough to lower growth signals inside cells. When total intake drops slightly, cells receive a message that resources are not unlimited. This encourages them to conserve, recycle, and repair. Unlike fasting, this approach does not rely on skipping meals or enduring hunger for long periods. It is about eating enough to function while avoiding constant excess. This shift reduces insulin spikes and keeps growth pathways from staying active all day. As a result, autophagy can rise during normal daily rhythms. Over time, this supports metabolic flexibility and helps prevent the accumulation of damaged cellular components that interfere with fat metabolism. Diet composition also plays a major role in how the body interprets nutrient signals. A diet lower in carbohydrates and higher in healthy fats shifts the body toward using fat as a primary fuel source. When carbohydrate intake is reduced, insulin levels tend to remain lower and more stable. This reduces storage signals and allows fat breakdown pathways to become more active. In this state, the body begins to rely more on fat-derived energy, creating a metabolic environment that resembles some aspects of fasting without complete food withdrawal. This shift encourages pathways associated with autophagy and cellular efficiency. Fat cells become more willing to release stored energy, and cells improve their ability to handle fuel without relying on constant glucose availability. This does not require perfection or extreme restriction. Even gradual changes in macronutrient balance can influence how cells behave over time. Certain foods add another layer of support by providing compounds that interact directly with cellular signaling systems. Many plant-based foods contain polyphenols, which are natural compounds that act as mild stressors at the cellular level. These compounds do not damage cells, but they challenge them just enough to activate protective responses. Green tea contains substances that support energy-sensing pathways. Turmeric provides compounds that influence inflammation and repair signals. Resveratrol, found in some plants, interacts with pathways linked to longevity and cellular cleanup. Cruciferous vegetables contain compounds that support detoxification and metabolic balance. These foods do not force autophagy on their own, but they support the conditions that allow it to happen more easily. Over time, regular intake of these compounds can help keep growth signals in check and repair signals responsive. Environmental stressors also influence autophagy in powerful ways. Heat exposure raises body temperature and challenges protein stability inside cells. In response, the body activates protective systems that repair and stabilize damaged components. This includes the activation of proteins involved in cellular cleanup. Cold exposure works differently but leads to a similar outcome. Cold challenges energy balance and forces the body to generate heat. This increases energy demand and activates pathways that improve efficiency. Both heat and cold act as controlled stressors that remind the body how to adapt. These signals encourage cells to clean up weak components and become more resilient. Over time, this improves metabolic health and supports fat utilization, including fat stored around organs. Sleep is one of the most underestimated factors in autophagy. During deep sleep, the body shifts into a repair-focused state. Growth signals drop, stress hormones fall, and cellular maintenance becomes a priority. Autophagy activity increases as the body takes advantage of this low-demand period to clean and rebuild. Poor sleep disrupts this process. When sleep is short or fragmented, stress hormones remain elevated and growth signals stay active. This suppresses repair pathways and promotes fat storage. Chronic sleep deprivation creates an environment where autophagy struggles to function properly, even if diet and exercise are on point. Managing stress works alongside sleep by preventing constant activation of survival hormones. When stress is high, the body prioritizes immediate energy storage and survival rather than long-term repair. Reducing stress helps restore hormonal balance and allows autophagy signals to operate more effectively. All of these factors connect directly to visceral fat. Visceral fat is not passive storage. It actively responds to hormonal and cellular signals. When growth and storage pathways dominate, visceral fat becomes protected and resistant to breakdown. It releases inflammatory signals that further disrupt metabolism. When autophagy pathways are active, cells within fat tissue function better, damaged fat droplets and dysfunctional components are cleared, fat cells become smaller and more responsive to energy demands. This makes visceral fat easier to mobilize and reduces its harmful effects on the body. While fasting can trigger these changes, it is not the only way. Exercise, modest calorie reduction, diet composition, supportive foods, environmental stress, and proper recovery all contribute to the same underlying cellular shift. Expectations matter when working with autophagy. This process does not turn on instantly, and it does not produce dramatic changes overnight. It builds gradually as habits reinforce the right signals. One day of effort does not override weeks of imbalance. The body responds to patterns, not isolated actions. Combining multiple supportive strategies creates a stronger and more consistent signal. Small daily choices compound over time, leading to meaningful changes in cellular health and fat metabolism. Autophagy thrives in environments where balance is restored and signals are clear, and when these conditions are met consistently, the body naturally shifts toward repair, efficiency, and healthier fat distribution. Autophagy is not reserved for people who starve themselves or follow extreme routines. It responds to signals that you can create every day through movement, smart eating, proper rest, and controlled stress. Exercise challenges your cells and wakes up repair pathways. Modest calorie control reduces constant storage signals. Diet choices can gently shift your body toward fat use instead of fat storage. Certain foods support cellular cleanup, while sleep and stress control give your body the time and balance it needs to repair itself. None of these require suffering, and none of them work alone. What matters most is consistency. Small actions repeated daily send a clear message to your cells that efficiency and repair matter. Over time, those signals add up, and the body responds by improving metabolism, reducing visceral fat, and restoring balance from the inside out. Progress does not come from extremes. It comes from steady habits that you can maintain long term. If this video helped you see fat loss and health from a smarter, science-based perspective, support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with someone who needs it, and subscribing so you never miss content that helps you level up your body and your life.